Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Ashley Mailloux. It's King's Plate Saturday at Woodbine, and we're going to kick off our analysis with race number 7, the Grade 3 Bold Venture Stakes. Let's throw up the field. We're going 6.5 furlongs on the Tapeta surface, and your morning line favorite, Ashley, and deservedly so, is the 3, Patches O'Houlihan. What's he done wrong in his career? Not much. 8 of 10 lifetime, and he's won what? 7 of his last 8 starts and 7 of 8 on the synth.
And whenever he doesn't break, that's when he's gotten himself into trouble. Other than that, though, he's been very sharp. A little bit of a question last time out. We finally saw him not go off as the favorite. He's still 2-1 in that spot back in the Pink Lloyd, but he sort of stamped himself as being ready to roll at 4 years old off the long layoff, 103 Beyer speed figure. And, there's still others in here that wanted to face him, but horses such as Ironstone, right down, they've decided to cross-enter, maybe trying to figure out what the rest of this field would look like.
Yeah, Patches O'Houlihan is facing some legitimately tough older horses, but also a new shooter in the 6, Play Me a Tune. Super impressive from 2 lifetime starts. Curious to see where they have everybody on our Timeform US pace projector. We put it up right now, and we know Patches O'Houlihan's game is to go to the lead. And if he's able to make the lead and get at least a little bit of a breather on the backstretch, he'll be super tough. First Empire, the 7, Capture the Lion, the 1. They got caught up in a pace dispute last time out in the Connaught Cup. It'll be interesting to see if they can go with Patches early.
Yeah, we will see. I think a lot of these horses will be sort of chasing him like Timeform pace projections projects here as we see this. But, when you look at horses such as Bordertown, I know on paper some of his races aren't as fast as Patches. I think he could be a little bit closer than this projection shows him based on his win last time out. And you already mentioned it when we showed the slate. I do think the 6, this is exactly where I see Play Me a Tune. And I think looking at this gelding compared to the field, he's a wild card. We've seen 2 really nice performances. You don't really know what he is yet based on that limited race day experience.
Let's kick off the analysis with the 1, Capture the Lion, who stepped up into the graded stakes ranks last time out on the turf in the Connaught Cup and just was involved in a pretty hot pace duel. They went a quick second quarter mile. Capture the Lion was battling it out with First Empire. They both paid the price. I think Capture the Lion just has to revert to those rating tactics that worked so well for him 2 starts back in a second level allowance. That being said, while he has done well on the synth, has he shown himself to be a better turf horse, at least recently?
Yeah, his turf form is really hard to ignore. And even though I know he was 4th last time out, I think he was at a little bit of a disadvantage chasing the pace in there. When you see a Cruden Bay is going to race in the King Edward one, was able to circle that field and get up and win pretty nicely when it was all said and done, considering how far back he was. But the effort 2 back to me suggests that a 1-turn turf race suits him. And maybe they thought that this spot was going to be softer than the others just because it's a grade 3. But again, you have to face the likes of Patches O'Houlihan. I don't know where I see Capture the Lion early in this race on the synth, because the synth races, we haven't seen him since Gulfstream synth. He actually doesn't even have anything locally up at Woodbine.
Ironstone, the number 2, has been a good horse for a long time. He was 4th in the 2022 plate, 2nd in the Prince of Wales that year. And you could argue he was really stretching his distance limitations in those races. As you mentioned, he's also cross-centered in the King Eddie on turf. But to me, it just seems like he's a better horse on the synth. He ran fine last time out in the Connaught Cup, although he did get the right setup with them hitting hard up front for him.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what Willie Armada will do, if he goes for this spot or the other. I could actually make a case for either of them, but I do agree that at least in 2024, his figures have just been a touch better on the synthetic. And they still made the conscious effort to mainly put him in stakes races this year. You can see he kicked off his campaign down at Gulfstream Park. I think that was more of an experiment than anything. They cut him back. Prior to that, we had seen him on the dirt once, but as you mentioned, it was sort of pushing the envelope with him going a mile and 3/16. And he still ran very perspective second place finish behind Duke of Love. But I think now at a little bit of an older age, the cutback has suited him well, going to say 1 mile or 7 furlongs most recently. And for him, I think even going to the synthetic, he may get the setup in here to at least get a piece.
After reeling off 6 consecutive wins, Patches O'Houlihan did taste defeat in the Kennedy Road in his final start of 2023, but he sure came back firing in his seasonal debut, the Pink Lloyd, against Ontario breds. Let's watch this race right now, and he never gave him a chance. He just went right to the front, blasted out to a clear lead on the backstretch, and just rolls along. And this is a very handy win in the Pink Lloyd, a 103 Beyer speed figure, and he might get loose again.
Yeah, he was very good first off the layoff, and he had to team up with a new rider. Usually Daisuke Fukumoto was his go-to, and then with this meet, Sofia Vivas was able to pick up that mount last time out and stays with him here. It was just a commanding performance. I do think, though, that this group, compared to that group, this is a tougher field, as it should be, being a graded stakes event. But he's going to stretch out to 6.5. He was able to win the Bold Venture last year. From a pace perspective, if he gets away from them early, this race could be done quite soon.
Bordertown couldn't step with Patches in the Bold Venture last year, but he did pop a 100 Buyers speed figure towards the end of 2023, and his recent sprints on the synthetic are pretty good, most notably his most recent start. Let's watch that race. It's a third level allowance going the 6.5 furlong distance. He got away with a very easy quarter. When a horse like Bold Venture can go 23 seconds to the opening quarter, he should have plenty left in the tank, and he does.
This was a really nice performance. It had been a little bit since we had seen him in the winner's circle, but looking at him, I think in 2024, going down after the meet and going to Gulfstream Park for a little bit, he kind of kept that fitness edge. He really never lost it. You can see his races might have, spacing between them more than 4 weeks, but it's worked out really well for him. And his 3 efforts up at Woodbine, they've all been good. And I was really impressed with that visually. We saw a new dimension from it. You wonder, did he look so good just because no one really pressed him in there? Maybe, but at least his figures took a big step up as well.
I wonder if the number 5, I'm a Gambler, finally found his niche midway through his career, or even later into his career, sprinting on the synthetic. He started his career on the turf in Europe. He was in Southern California racing mostly on turf. They gave the dirt one whirl. His last race was his synthetic debut. He sat off a pretty moderate pace and he stormed on home. He's in very good form right now. He's hoping the pace is hot here.
Yeah, that's a big figure. He equaled his career best of a 97. I liked his strip. I felt like in some of his turf races, whether it was at Santa Anita on the downhill or even the race at Golden Gate, or you look at his races at Woodbine, that one start on the grass, he's been a little further back. And for some reason, he was able to sit a closer trip. And maybe that was a conscious decision by Pietro Moran, but it worked out very nicely for him. And I think in a field like this, if you're looking for a horse with value, the thought process with I'm a Gambler is that similar stalking trip might put him in the right spot.
Trainer Josie Carroll might have a really good one here with the 6, Play Me a Tune. He's the proverbial could be any kind. He's only started twice. He's won by a combined 16 lengths and change, including this easy win first time against Winners, where he sat just off the pace, gets to the outside, and when it's go time, boy, does he go.
Yeah, and his stride just gets bigger and bigger, and you can see he's determined to pass the horse on his inside. A War Strategy, who finished second in the spot, ends up being a next out winner. This was a really nice performance, and that was going from 6 to 6.5, facing Winners for the first time. I know he's a 4-year-old with just 2 races under his belt, but this operation being not just Josie, but Chiefswood Stable, they have no issues with taking time. They breed their horses, the mares in the family, they really do right by the horse. And maybe it took him a little bit to get to the races, but he's a wild card. We've seen 2 really nice performances, and we really don't even know what he is in terms of a racehorse yet.
Yeah, it's scary to think that after only 2 starts, the best may yet still be to come. The 7 is First Empire. He got caught up in a duel last time out in the Connaught Cup. His game is mostly speed, and just considering A, he was involved in the duel, B, it was his first start in over a year and a half, you could easily give him a mulligan or even argue that he ran a lot better than the running line indicates.
You could. I think when I look at his record, he's 4 for 10, no minor on the board finishes. And when you look at his wins, he basically has the lead. He at least has the lead by the half and then is able to hold and cruise to a victory. When he's been pressured early, I feel like he's gotten tired. And maybe you're right. Maybe he did get tired last time out. It was 7/8 on the turf, first start off the long layoff. But with other speeds signed on in here, I have a tough time, A, visioning that he can necessarily go with Patches O'Houlihan early. And secondly, that he'll be kind of hanging around when they near the wire.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 3 Bold Venture on King's Plate Saturday. Patches O'Houlihan is the horse to catch in here. He might very well be the horse to beat. I'm just focusing on my top 2 picks in here, our top 2 picks, the 3 and the 6, because I have no idea of how good the 6 is. I have a feeling he's pretty good.
I agree. And I think from a betting perspective, I find it really tough to beat Patches O'Houlihan. If anyone does it, it is the 6. And I think when we talk about Play Me a Tune, I think most of the intrigue is what is he going to do and where is he going to go the rest of this year? I think from looking at Patches O'Houlihan, we know how good he is, but I like the unknown that surrounds Josie Carroll's horse here. And maybe we'll see a very nice performance from him. Maybe he can beat him.
Same super, slightly different order. Ash is going 3654. I'm going 3645. In the grade 3 bold venture, it's plate Saturday at Woodbine. Good luck.